What up, what up, what up, Entourage? Here we go again, bringing that heat. Now, this video, not gonna lie, it took me some time to really, think of all the trends and observations. There was a couple that I had right off the top of my head, things that I've noticed just from watching film, but I had to make sure that my eyes weren't playing tricks on me, so I had to go back, look at the stats, which you guys know, something I hate to do, but I'm learning to like more and more. It's funny because my most engaging content is usually stat related for all you nerds out there. But yeah, guys. So hopefully you guys appreciate the hard work. If you do, give me a thumbs up. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I love what I do, and I love when I get those DMs. Yo, rapper, you were right. Yo, my team's killing it. So. It's been a tough year though, because there's just so many challenges with no off season and so many injuries, but it looks like some of these guys are coming back, like the Godwins, like the Devontae Adams and things like that. So there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel, guys. Well, let's not waste any more time. Intro. The fantasy football Entourage for winning. Alrighty then. And also, guys, if you're interested, my DFS group, we're doing it. Big things. This is kind of gonna touch on some DFS stuff, what goes into my mind. There's three basic things that I look for with DFS. And some we're gonna cover, and actually we're pretty much gonna cover all of it. It's basically matchups, like seeing where the hole is, where the weakness is, then game flow, and then the third part is intuition. Because let's face it, there's always players that perform in tough matchups, and there's always players that underperform in what is perceived to be a good matchup or a hole in the defense. So here we're gonna really dig into those holes and how a big part of my start-sit selection, what goes through my process, okay? Because there's a lot of trends now that we're 5 weeks in that I want to go over with you guys, all right? And of course, if you're interested in the premium content, it's 4 emails a week, except for this week because there was no Thursday night game. So on Tuesdays, we're looking at the waiver wire and free agent hidden gems. Wednesdays, my complete buy, sell, hold list, what players to trade for and trade away. Then Thursday, like I said, except for this week, is my rankings because there was no Thursday night game. So I try to hold that off. We just found out today is Friday that Mike Evans is playing. Leonard Fournette might even play. Godwin, Adams, etc. Which is why I try to wait for, as long as possible. And then Saturday, I do an updated rankings, okay? So that's $20 for the whole season. If you do the DFS, it's $20 a week, $50 a month, or $150 for the season. So if you do the DFS too, I'm going to send you the games that I like most for betting. And then if you do the season long, it's you get a private access to my betting Discord secret society chat. Now, if any of you guys done betting before and you look at betting services, they're very, very expensive, and they don't even have half the credibility I do. I've been to the World Championships for DFS. I've won over 6 figures in DFS. So it's really cheap. All right, guys. Well, let's get into what we were going to do today, which is trends. Okay, so I'm going to go over what players or what teams we want to attack for certain positions, okay? So, let me look at my phone here because I got it all down here. This I didn't memorize. Usually I just spit off the dome, but for this, why isn't my phone open here? This is weird. Okay, Face ID, thank you. All right. So we're going to go over what teams you want to attack for wide receiver ones. So Atlanta, I don't think there's any surprise here. Atlanta's been horrible against defending the pass. I mean, Thielen tore him a new one. Metcalf, everybody has lit up Atlanta specifically for the wide receiver one. So, obviously, most likely if you have a team's wide receiver one, you're starting them anyway. So this is kind of for DFS related. And whoever's playing Atlanta, you want to attack their wide receiver. So Thielen this week is going to be a great matchup. Because he's Minnesota's wide receiver one. We could expect a shootout. Minnesota's bad against defense, or Minnesota's defense is bad. Atlanta's defense is bad. Atlanta's bad against wide receiver one. So Thielen is a great play in DFS. And it's not like you weren't starting him anyway. That's why I say DFS. Even amongst the good wide receivers. And Thielen's been tearing it up anyway. Another team that's really bad against wide receiver ones is Cincinnati. OBJ tore him a new one. DJ Shark had 2 touchdowns against them. So Cincinnati is another team that you want to attack the wide receiver one. So who's playing Cincinnati this week? Indianapolis. Oh, well. Never mind. I think it's Indianapolis, right? There's no wide receiver one in Indianapolis. But if there's ever a game for T.Y. Hilton to do something, it would be this week. It's just Phillip Rivers sucks. Dallas. Dallas is another team, and that's because Sheedy has been on the injured reserve. So they've been abysmal. That's another team that OBJ completely tore up. We saw Darius Slayton tear him a new one this past weekend as well. So you want to start wide receiver ones against Dallas, okay? Minnesota, we mentioned them earlier. So Julio Jones could be in for a big game. Not like you were sitting him anyway. Or Calvin Ridley. I mean, who's really their wide receiver one? So Adams went crazy on him. Metcalf went crazy on him. Fuller had his best game against them. So Minnesota is another team where you really want to start your wide receiver one. And again, like I said, it's more for DFS because you're starting a wide receiver one. But a guy like T.Y. Hilton, you're probably not starting him this day and age much, but he might have a good game because Cincinnati has been bad against wide receiver ones. Seattle's another team that's been horrible. I'm surprised because Dunbar, he was a pretty good corner, but he hasn't played good this year. Neither has Flowers, or their whole secondary has been pretty bad. Thielen tore him up, Ridley tore him up. So, those receivers tear up a lot of people, but they've been really bad for 2 years now. They've been really bad in the secondary in general. Pittsburgh. Now, this might surprise some people because Steve Nelson in the past, I believe he's made the Pro Bowl and he's been pretty good, but not this year. We saw Darius Slayton had 2 touchdowns against Pitt. We saw this past weekend, Fulgham was tearing it up against Pitt, and a lot of those were on Steve Nelson. So, Pittsburgh, surprisingly, has not been good against wide receiver ones. Okay? And my last team, no surprise here, it's the New York Jets. Even Tim Patrick, who? Yeah, Tim Patrick from the Denver Broncos. They let a backup quarterback go crazy on him. So, Devontae Parker could have a good game. Preston Williams perhaps as well. So, the New York Jets are my last team that you really want to start your wide receiver ones against. Okay? Wide receiver twos now. Tennessee's been really bad against wide receiver two. That's the game Justin Jefferson went nuts against. Or the opponent Justin Jefferson went nuts against. And even Keenan Cole. Yeah, Keenan Cole. When's he ever done anything? He had his best game of the year against the Tennessee Titans as well as the wide receiver two. So if you need this is really good. If you need that desperate dart play or sleeper play, then you know that Tennessee hasn't been good against wide receiver two. So I believe Tennessee is playing Houston this weekend. So maybe Brandon Cooks, who just got off a great game last weekend, maybe he could continue that since Tennessee hasn't been that great. And this goes back to even, last year and a couple of years now. It seems like Tennessee has always been a team where you could attack, where you could start the wide receiver two of that team. Okay. And then last but not least is the Redskins. The Redskins have been really, really suspect. Ronald Darby, the same Ronald Darby that was getting burnt all over the place in Philadelphia is now in Washington, and they've been really bad specifically against the big play. They give up those big home run plays. That's where they're weakest at. We saw it even Rager, his first game. The game that Carson Wentz didn't do anything with, Rager still had a 50-yard bomb. So Washington has been really bad against wide receiver twos and giving up the big play in specific. Okay. So now the teams that have been bad against the slot. And if you guys are getting good value out of this, please, like I said, a lot of thought, a lot of game film, a lot of stats to make sure what I see matches the numbers. please give it a thumbs up, my friends. It's much appreciated. All right. It's a Friday night. It's a Friday night, and I'm here with you fuckers, all right? Because I love you, all right? And, okay, so Cleveland. So this could be a breakout game for Juju. Deontay Johnson's out, right? And Denzel Ward's pretty good. Denzel Ward probably, Claypool will probably see a lot of Denzel Ward. So this could be a breakout game for Juju. Cleveland has been really, really bad against the slot. I believe they gave up the most points to slot receivers. So Cleveland, start Juju. Yeah. And Cleveland, traditionally, even last year, they were really bad against the slot as well. New Orleans, they got two really good corners on the outside. They got Lattimore. They got Jenkins. They've been really suspect. They gave up touchdowns to Chris Godwin the first week. Alan Lazard was running a lot of routes at the slot. Remember, he had that big week against New Orleans. Keenan Allen had a touchdown this past Monday before he got injured. So New Orleans is a team that you wanted to attack the slot as well. Okay? And then last but not least, Buffalo. Remember, Crowder had that huge game against them week 1. Cooper Kupp tore him a new one. I believe it was week 3. So Buffalo is the last team that you really want to attack the slot. Okay. Now we're going to move on to tight ends. I don't think it's any surprise here. Atlanta's just bad at everything. I think Atlanta is the one team where I got them. I could have put them as suspect against the wide receiver too as well, but I didn't want to be that mean. But they're on here, wide receiver 1. Tight end is probably the worst though. They let didn't Tanya score like 3 touchdowns against them? Schultz, I think, had his career game against them. Greg Olsen, who hasn't done anything since week 1, had a touchdown against them. So Atlanta's just abysmal, period, but especially against the tight ends. Cleveland, another team that's been traditionally bad against tight ends. Even Sample. You remember we thought Sample was going to be a good somebody decent because he did good against Cleveland. Well, he didn't do anything since. That's how bad Cleveland is. And then Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns against the first week. So Cleveland and Atlanta are the 2 teams that you really want to attack the tight end. Another team you want to attack the tight end is the Jaguars. Yep. So Fells, he's the backup tight end for Houston. Houston don't even use the tight end. That's how bad the Jaguars are against the tight end. They even decided to use the tight end this week. So, yeah. So Jaguars, Jonnu Smith went nuts on them. I think he had 2 touchdowns. Gesicki had a quiet game, but did manage to get a touchdown on them as well. So Jaguars, start your tight ends against the Jaguars. And then Las Vegas, another team. You see how there's a trend with these teams? Las Vegas has been bad a couple of years now against the tight end. Kelsey went nuts on them last week, so you want to start your tight ends. And then last but not least, Philadelphia, Higbee's one and only good game where he had like 30 points was against the Eagles. Kittle had 40 points against the Eagles, so start your tight ends against the Eagles. Okay? And now on to the running backs. All right? Running backs, I kind of divided it into 2. I mean, pretty much you can mold them into 1, but just so you guys can get even more specific, because there's some teams that are worse against the run, and then some teams that are worse against pass catching back. So the teams that are really bad against the run, no surprise here. Carolina is giving up over a touchdown and a half on the ground. They're also giving 112 yards per game. So Carolina, you want to start them. Miami, obviously, they have not been good at all against the run, and that includes playing the Jets, they played the Jets this week, excuse me. But this last week, Monster had 11 carries and like 90 yards, so go figure. Detroit, shocker here, give up 147 yards per game on the ground. That's the worst. And then Houston is second worst with 141 yards. So definitely start your running backs against the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Texans. Now for pass catching backs. Surprise, surprise. Atlanta makes our list again, and they're pretty bad against the ground too, specifically on giving touchdowns, but I can't put them on every list because that's just me. So Atlanta really bad against pass catching backs. The Rams have been really bad against pass catching backs. This last week, remember, Gibson started off with like 4 catches in the first quarter, and then they gave it to McKissick. McKissick had his best game in the air as well. The Chiefs, no surprise there. The Chiefs also been pretty bad against the run as well. Las Vegas, I believe they're the worst against pass catching backs. And then last but not least, Arizona. All right. Arizona has given up the most touchdowns, and I believe the most yards, the most touchdowns for sure. They've given up 3 touchdowns to running backs in the air and 254 yards in the air in only 5 weeks. So, if you got, pass catching backs, then you want to start them against those teams: Atlanta, the Rams, the Chiefs, Las Vegas, and Arizona. And then as far as quarterbacks, pretty much every team that's bad against wide receivers is bad against quarterbacks. So Atlanta, Minnesota, the Jets, those are the teams that you want to start your quarterbacks. I mean, quarterbacks are pretty much, you're starting your studs and then you're streaming the rest. I mean, if you don't got Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson's kind of getting into that stream. Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, like those guys are your must starts anyway. But we all know who to attack in the air. Seattle, another team. Okay. And then defenses, same thing. Start your defense against the Giants, the Jets, the Redskins. Those the usual suspects. Okay. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Those are my trends and observations that I broke down into position, not only position like wide receiver, but wide receiver 1, 2, 3, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, pass catching backs, running backs that do most of the damage, or teams that give up most points on the ground, and then your tight ends as well. If you appreciate this, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment down below. And if you're interested in any of my products, like the premium content or the DFS and my betting group, please shoot me an email, info.fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. Also be sure to follow me on Instagram at fantasyfootballrapper, and for all the latest breaking news on Twitter at IamFFRapper. Well, my friends, hope everybody has a lovely weekend. I should be back on tomorrow for another video. Probably do like a start sits for you guys. We'll see. It's Saturday. I'm trying to enjoy my life too. Have that work-life balance, but I love you guys. This is addicting, so don't be surprised if you see me back here again. Until next time, peace. Yeah.